Buenos días. Es el lunes y son las 12. Hello, everyone. It's Monday and it's 12 o'clock. So we're back for Community Spanish, the first one of the week, and actually successfully going live after the technical difficulties we had on Friday, which meant that I was able to make a video and post a recording of a video, but I was not able to go live on Friday. Content is still up, so you're still welcome to check it out, but I'm happy to be going actually live today. So for our first Community Spanish this week. Number one of three, as you probably know, on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 12. We also have Community French going on Tuesday, and Thursday mornings at 8:30. We have Children's French going on every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday morning at 10, and Children's Spanish every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 3:30 in the afternoon. I know it's a lot to keep track of. So that's why we have all of our schedule posted in Facebook events on our Facebook page, so you can keep track of the schedule for the particular program you're interested in, and also on our website on the Facebook Live page on our website. We also have a nice kind of schedule where you can see all of the sessions programmed out in one nice little graphic, so it's easier to keep track of everything that's going on. And while you're on the webpage on our website, feel free to check out all the extra resources we have up there. They have the links to all of our videos. We have extra worksheets to go along with the different lessons. So if you want to get a little bit more practice with something, you're welcome to check out those resources and pass them along to anyone else who might benefit from them as well. So before we get into our material for today, continuing our series on the Pretérito, the past tense, I just want to give a reminder that the September class schedule is posted on our website. So if you're looking to join the class in September, all of our classes are open and enrolling, so you're welcome to check out all the schedules and prices and levels and all the descriptions also up on our website. So there's a lot of content to check out there. And please get in touch with us if you have any questions or you need any help to choose the right class for you. So without further ado, let's get into our material for today. So as I mentioned, last week I started a new kind of series on el pretérito, or the past tense in Spanish. Well, there's more than one past tense, but just to keep it simple, it's probably our most commonly used past tense in Spanish. These are for things that basically we know when they started, we know when they ended, they're kind of defined, whether it's in the place in time or defined in the frequency, like you did something a certain number of times. If it's something that we can define, that's a kind of a keyword of the preterite. It means that we should use pretérito as our tense. And so last week we started by learning about the regular verbs in the past tense. So we looked at the ARs, and then we also had the video that I posted on Friday for the, which was again recorded instead of live, unfortunately, was for the ER, IR verbs, because they share the same conjugations in the preterite. So we kind of laid our foundations last week to get started in the preterite, and I'm going to go off into more of the irregulars in the preterite. And sadly, there are a good amount of them, so we have to take a look at them kind of separately, but usually there are some verbs that we use a lot, so it's really important that we still look at them and not just look at those regular verbs, even though regular verbs are going to, of course, constitute a good amount of the verbs you would use in the preterite, but there also are a fair amount of irregulars, and they're common verbs, so we have to take a look. So we're going to start our look today with our first set of irregulars. We're going to be looking at the verbs ser and ir in the preterite. So let's get started. So I'm going to share my screen so you can see all the information in front of me as well. So the thing that's kind of interesting about the verbs ser and ir, which are a couple of very basic, super useful verbs. So ser meaning to be for things that are permanent in general. You know, that we have some arguments about what's permanent, what's not permanent. But in general, we use this verb ser to represent things, to the verb to be in permanent sense. So it could be characteristics about a personality. It could be a physical description of someone. Those are some examples where we would use ser in generally speaking. And then the verb ir is the verb to go. So the thing that's interesting about these verbs is they actually share the same conjugations in the preterite, which is really rare. In fact, they might be the only two. I don't want to swear without doing some thorough investigation, but I'm pretty sure the only verbs that are like this that actually share the exact same conjugations in a tense. So this is quite irregular in many ways. So not only are the conjugations themselves irregular, but the fact that these two different verbs share the same conjugations in the preterite is like super irregular. So it's very interesting, but we have to take a look at it and remember that based on the context, we might have to do a little bit of kind of guesswork about which one is it. If we just see the conjugation, we might have to look at the context to understand if this is a conjugation of ser or a conjugation of ir. And in fact, the exercise we're going to be doing together today, after we learn our conjugations, is to not only practice those conjugations, but also to decide based on the context of our sentence, is it we're using ser or we're using ir. So we're going to do kind of that double duty for our exercise we're going to do together, which this exercise, I want to give complete credit where credit is due. This exercise is from a worksheet by on the Pay Teachers website. The user is called Cruz in the Classroom. And so this is their worksheet. Again, I want to give complete credit for them for the work that they did for preparing this worksheet. So I definitely welcome you to check out their page on the Pay Teacher website. And in fact, I have linked it in here if you want to check that out later so you can look at their stuff. But first, we have to get to the conjugations, make sure we know how to use this verb with the different people in Spanish, and then we'll get a little bit of practice in together. So vamos a comenzar con ser. We're going to start with ser. So again, they share the same. So once you learn one set, you learn both the sets. But vamos a repetir. We're going to repeat these together for us to get ourselves used to these conjugations and start to help your brain to internalize the sounds of these two verbs. So again, this is for the preterite. So this is for past tense. Okay. So we're going to be saying the equivalent of like I was, you were, he was, so on and so forth. Okay. So starting with yo, it's yo fui. Yo fui. Tú fuiste. Tú fuiste. Él, ella, usted fue. Él, ella, usted fue. Nosotros fuimos. Nosotros fuimos. Vosotros fuisteis. Vosotros fuisteis. Ellos, ellas, ustedes fueron. Ellos, ellas, ustedes fueron. Muy bien. So we can see a bit of a theme here. Fui, fuiste, fue, fuimos, fuisteis, fueron. So those are the conjugations for ser. Now for ir, just for the purposes of, again, trying to starting to absorb this information, we're going to repeat for ir. But again, part of the point of this one is that ser and ir conjugations are exactly the same in the preterite. So we're not actually memorizing a second set here. We're just repeating the same set again, but we're trying to then kind of put this information in our brain that ser has these patterns and ir has these patterns. So again, in the first one, while we were saying like I was, you were, he was, and so on and so forth, for the second group, for ir, we'll be saying I went, you went, he went. Okay, so again, this is the verb to go. So vamos a repetir otra vez. We're going to repeat again. Yo fui. Tú fuiste. Él, ella, usted fue. Nosotros fuimos. Vosotros fuisteis. Ellos, ellas, ustedes fueron. Okay. Una última vez, one last time, we're just going to do not the people, but just the conjugations. Fui. Fuiste. Fue. Fuimos. Fuisteis. Fueron. Muy bien. So the place that I think most students get tripped up on this verb, I mean, besides remembering that it's the same conjugations for these two verbs, in terms of pronunciation, the most common errors I hear in my students is that people confuse fui and fue. So remembering that the fui with the e sound at the end goes with yo, and the fue with the e sound goes with el, ella, usted. I often hear students switch those two, so they'll say yo fue and el fui. So make sure you keep those two straight. And the last thing to keep in mind, that again is a common error I hear with my students, is for the ellos, ellas, ustedes form, it's fueron. So it's the first part, the first half, that should be the strong part in the pronunciation. So not fueron, with the second part being the strong part, but the start, fueron. Okay, so just try to keep that in mind as you're pronouncing. So now let's get to our practice activity. So we're going to look at this side on the right. So here's where, if you're watching the video, feel free to write in the comments below, not only the conjugation, but also to tell me if you think this is a verb of the conjugation of ser or of ir. So again, this is part of our practice, not just only to remember the conjugations, but to keep our mind on the context, to know that if we're using it in the form of to go or using it in the form of to be. So if you're going to write your response, make sure you do both those things, the conjugation that goes in that blank, And then to check the box on ser or ir. Okay, so let's go. Let's give it a try. Vamos. So, número uno, nosotros blank a la oficina. So we can kind of cheat a little bit because I still have the conjugation on the left-hand side, but try your best not to look and to put your, again, just think of your answer, see if you can remember those conjugations yourself. So nosotros blank a la oficina, and then I have to choose, is this ser or is it ir? So first step with the conjugation, we can recall back to the sounds we were practicing. With nosotros, it's going to be fuimos. Fuimos. And then we're going to say, based on this context, is it ser or is it ir? Are we talking about going somewhere or being something? So we have a la oficina, at the office or to the office. So this is going to be ir. Okay. So I'm just going to get out of the way. So we're going to have nosotros fuimos, and then it's going to be checking the ir box. Okay, número dos, mis abuelos, and then blank, a Cusco. Okay, mis abuelos, my grandparents, blank, a Cusco. Cusco is a city or town. So you think ser or ir, and what's the conjugation? So for mis abuelos, my grandparents, that's like saying ellos, right? So if it's ellos form, then we should use fueron. Fueron. And then this one we're saying to Cusco. So again, another case of ir. Okay, número tres, Marta blank a la clase de inglés a las 8 de la mañana. So Marta in English, blank to English class at 8 o'clock in the morning. So do you think, did she went or she was at English class? And they kind of sound, maybe it could be either one in English, but I think it makes more sense in Spanish to say she went. And again, especially because we're talking about a defined time, there is most likely, we're talking about like an instance of her traveling and arriving at the English class. So Marta, and again, this is like saying ella, so we're going to go with the el, ella, usted form, which is fue. Fue, and then we're going to check the box for ir again. Okay, now next one for número cuatro, we have tú and blank and profesor. Okay, so we have to think about this one first, the tú conjugation, and then also is this ser or ir? So first conjugation, we remember for tú, it's fuiste, tú fuiste, profesor, and we're saying you blank, teacher, a teacher. So you think about this is something that you are, your profession. So it's going to be ser in this case, ser. Tú fuiste profesor. Okay, número 5. Unas viajeras blank al aeropuerto. So some travelers, like passengers, blank to the airport. Okay, so again, we think about this context, ser o ir. And what's the conjugation? So unas viajeras, like saying ellas. So we're going to go with the el, ellos, ellas, ustedes form, which, as we saw in número 2, is fueron. Unas viajeras fueron al aeropuerto. And then again, we're talking about them going to the airport. So it's going to be ir. Número 6. Mi hermano y yo blank a la playa. So my brother and I blank to the beach. So again, think about this context. We were to the beach. We went to the beach. So it's going to be ir again. We went to the beach. Oh, next line. And then conjugation to go with mi hermano y yo. We think about this. Mi hermano, my brother, and I. So this together makes we or nosotros. So we're going to go to nosotros form. Nosotros fuimos a la playa. Número 7. Okay, we have 3 more to go. Número 7. Mis hermanos, like alegres. Okay, alegres. So we know hermano from the sentence we just did before, which is brother. Although mis hermanos, and we talk about hermanos plural, it could be just siblings in general, or it could be brothers. We might need some more context if we really need to clarify between those two. And then we have the word alegres. Alegre means like happy, like contento. Okay. So first, the conjugation to go with mis hermanos. Which person does this go with? We have mis hermanos. It's going to be the ellos, right? Ellos, ellas, ustedes form. So we need to put in the blank fueron. Mis hermanos fueron alegres And we think about this one, if we're saying my brother's blank happy, they go happy, they went happy, or they were happy. They were happy, right? So this is going to be a case of ser. Ooh, okay, número 8. Su novio blank de compras. So this one's a little bit of an expression. De compras. So this one will help you if you know the expression, but you don't have to know the expression to get this one right. So su novio, so novio is like usually the translation for boyfriend. Okay, so su novio blank de compras. And so if we're talking about su novio, we think about is this yo, is it tú, is it él, ella, usted, nosotros, vosotros, ellos, ellas, ustedes. If we're talking about su novio, it's going to be él. So we should use the él, ella, usted form, which is fue. So su novio fue de compras, okay? And if we think about this verb with compras comes from the verb comprar, to buy. So this is an expression about shopping. So we think about this one like be shopping or go shopping. Go shopping, right? So we're going to use the verb. So this is going to be coming from the verb ir. Su novio fue de compras. Okay, we have one more to go. Uno más. El libro blank un poco aburrido, no me gustó. So the book blank, a little boring. I didn't like it. No me gustó. Okay, no me gustó, literally, it did not please me. Okay, no me gustó. So in this blank, we have, it goes with, the verb's going to go with el libro. If you think about el libro, is like the it, which in Spanish, there's not really an equivalent of it, since everything has to have a gender in Spanish. So we're going to treat el libro like we would for he. So it's the el, ella, usted form. So it's going to be, just like with número 8, it's going to be fue again, okay? So el libro fue un poco aburrido, no me gustó. And when we think about from the context, is this ser or ir? If we're talking about the book and boring, it was boring or it went boring? This one is going to be was, right? So another case of ser for this one. Okay, muy bien. So that's where we're going to stop for this one today, but there's a lot more practice to go to. And again, I would recommend you check out this person's profile on the Teachers Pay Teachers website, where you can see this worksheet in its entirety. So that's our lesson for today for the verbs of ser and ir. But we'll be back on Wednesday for another edition in the Pretérito series. And again, we're going to keep moving down these with irregulars because there are a lot of irregulars. So please make sure to check out the both the video if you want to watch the video again, but also we'll be posting some extra exercises and including with this particular one, as I mentioned, this worksheet came from a different site. So make sure to check it out on that site and give credit where credit is due. So muchas gracias. Nos veremos el miércoles. I'll see you again on Wednesday at 12. Adiós.